Hi, my name is Sam Saracino from Sports Focus, and the Northwest is done and dusted. We now shift our focus to the southeast, and what a weekend it promises to be at Katamatite on Saturday. Greg, we'll start at the very bottom. We'll start with the netball, the 13 and unders.
Yeah, look, 13 and unders has been a really good competition. Katandra finished on top. As far as the club goes, Katandra had an outstanding season for netball. They take on Wai, who finished third and have come through some really hard games to get to the grand final. It'll be pretty tight, but I reckon Katandra, they've had some great young players and finished very high in the best and fairest counts this year, so I tip Katandra.
15 and under, we've got Katandra again against Rennie. Great to see Rennie represented.
Yeah, look, Rennie and Katandra have been the two outstanding teams this year in the 15s. I believe Rennie had their best and fairest winner of the league this year, and Katandra were hot on their heels. It's going to be a really good game. Both lost a couple of games throughout the season, but I reckon the home support of Rennie, I reckon it might get them over the line.
17s, we've got Tungama and Katamatite, so Katamatite on their home court.
Yeah, and Katamatite have come through some really hard games as well. They haven't had the greatest season, Caddy, but you know, the 17s are flying the flag for them. I reckon they'll get the win on their home deck. The home crowd advantage just might get there.
Wai are represented in Sea Reserve, which is fantastic, against Katandra, of course.
Yeah, Katandra, as I said, they're having a great season with netball. Wai finished on top. They've had a pretty good year. Katandra, obviously, their whole netball season has been fantastic. But I reckon Wai, they finished on top. They're there for a reason, and I reckon they'll get the win.
Katanga are represented, of course, in the netball, and then they've obviously got a team playing in the football as well. They take on Wai in the next game.
Yeah, look, a bit of a local derby there. Katanga also had a pretty good season with netball, particularly in their senior grades. The Swans finished second on the ladder, Dookie on top, but were bowled out. So I think Katanga will get the chocolates.
B grade, Katandra again against Katanga. This should be a good game of netball, I reckon.
Yeah, it will be. Like I said, Katandra, you know, they're on top. Their two senior grades have been fantastic this year. Katanga have come from 5th to get there, or 4th or 5th, so it's a great effort for them to get into the grand final, and their senior sides have had some injuries. But look, given Katandra's strength at the top end of the table, I take Katandra.
Now this one promises to be an absolute cracker. The A grade, which is the main event, I guess, for the girls, and this is what everyone aspires to do, is play at A grade level. Katandra, who've had a fantastic season, almost went through undefeated, just had that draw in the last home and away round. And Shep East is an amazing story. I mean, when you look at Shep East, Greg, they did make the finals last year in A grade. 2 weeks out from the start of this season, still didn't have a coach. And Bianca Kelly put her hand up to take it on, which is fantastic. I know that she's done a wonderful job. Katandra, of course, are well led by Beck Osmond on the court, and they've got a lot of talented girls right across the court, and lots of depth in their lineup. Do you think that having their B grade in makes it better for them, because they can obviously call on them if they have to go up and play A grade as well, some of those girls after their game?
Yeah, look, Katandra have been outstanding. As I said, only the draw which happened in the last round against Wai. So other than that, they're undefeated for the whole season, and they pretty much were better than anyone else throughout the whole year. Bree Dungan and Shania Sali, I hope I say that right, have been fantastic this year. Had great seasons. Shep East, like you say, though, no coach 2 weeks out. To finish 4th on the ladder, they've knocked off Wai, they've knocked off Katanga, and now they're in the big show with Katandra. So you've got to give them a chance. They've been playing some really good netball. Katandra, you know, a fantastic season. It's really hard to see them getting beat, but in a close one, I think Katandra just over Shep East, who've had a great season.
They have had a great season. When you look at this game in a little bit more depth, I mean, both teams, as we say, have had good seasons, but when they've played each other, Greg, during the home and away season, which is twice, Katandra were far too strong in the first round meeting, winning by 19 goals, but Sheppey's were able to bridge the gap to 9 in the second game. In the back half of the season, we've seen Kate Toy, who we all know played some very, very good netball at GB level with the Shep Swans. She's come in to play. Her mum, Colleen Toy, has jumped on board to help coach in the back end. What can we expect in a sense? Do you expect any surprises in terms of the lineup? You think, given Colleen's experience as a coach and a high-level administrator of netball, to maybe make a few changes and try and unsettle the Katandra girls?
Yeah, look, it's interesting. And like you say, their back end of the season has been really good, and that comes from, they've had no one, 2 weeks out, so they've been able to work together as a team for the last sort of 4 or 5 months, and their last 6 to 8 weeks have been really good. So it just shows that they're growing as a team, they're getting better at playing netball together and working together. Obviously, Colleen has added some more experience and continuity to the team. I don't probably expect too many changes there, but what I expect is a really well-drilled, gelling team at the right time of the year. So that's a bit of danger for Katandra. They've been going along really nicely all year, but this team at Sheppey's have been building and building, and they've reached the last game of the season, and they're in really good form. So you just can't write them off, I don't think.
2 weeks ago, of course, Katandra were outstanding in the second semi-final. They were too strong for Katunga, winning by 22. Is it a bit of a worry for the team that they haven't played a lot of netball over the last month?
Oh, look, yeah, I guess you always feel that when the team finishes on top, they get a week's break and then they win the next one straight into the grand final. So there's always a bit of worry there that they, might not be match fit. But look, Katandra, with the experience that they've got there, you wouldn't think they'd let that happen. I reckon they've been training pretty hard, and with their B grade in, I'd expect them to play a couple of scratch matches over the last few weeks. So I'd expect them to be pretty right to go.
Well, it promises to be a fantastic day of netball. Good luck to all the teams competing today, because we're going to crown another 7 premiers for the South East Division. We'll now go to a break, and then we'll come back and have a look at the football. Back. Now we cross over to the Oval and have a look at the games of football, and there's some exciting games that are going to be in store for the spectators that get along to Katamatite today. Tungamah v Shep East in the fourth. 2 best teams for the home and away season will play off in the grand final, and it probably looks a mountain of a task for Shep East. Every time they play, they've been a little off the mark against Tungamah, and they certainly had to work hard to win their prelim final against Ringy to get in. Do you give them any chance today, because it's a huge challenge against Tungamah?
Oh, look, it is a huge challenge. It's a bit hard to go against Tungamah. They've been outstanding all year. They've really, beaten the sides below them fairly comfortably. The 2 other good sides, Shep and Rennie, played off last week, and it was a really good battle to get into the grand final. So you suspect anything can happen in a grand final, but Tungamah have done a fantastic job with their under-14s kids, and they look really good, and I wouldn't expect them to get beat, but you never know.
How's this for a stat? I just had a look down there, and they've averaged 5 points against per game. That's unbelievable defending.
Yeah, that is pretty good, isn't it? Obviously they're well drilled and coached, and their hunger for the footy down back is fantastic, and you're right. It's a great number to look at, and I think if you're a stats person, that's a fantastic stat, and their percentage is amazing. So it shows that they're great at both ends of the ground, and I think that will probably prove the difference.
Yeah, I think you'll be right. Katandra take on Katunga in the under-17s. Both these sides have had fantastic seasons and had pretty good final series, so they deserve the right to play each other for their premiership.
Yeah, that's right. Katandra have been really good. Ross Opie, the coach, fantastic job there to get the side through to a grand final, 1 loss for the year. Katunga have been playing their best footy in the last sort of 5 or 6 weeks. They played Shep East twice now and have beaten them both times in the 3-week period. So they've been really good. Mitch Small, Josh Smith and Spencer Small have been outstanding for them this year. It'll be a really good contest, and as we've said before, the 17 is generally the best game of the day because it's open, free-flowing, the skills are great, and I don't see this being any different today. I think it'll be a fantastic game. I give Katunga a bit of hope today, particularly with those three boys that I mentioned in. But it'll be close, but I think probably Katandra, but I'm not going to write off Katunga. I think they're within well a chance.
Shep East beat Dookie. A bit of rivalry here between these two sides. I think they've now played off in the last three grand finals. We all know that Shep East have been a powerhouse in the reserve competition. I think they're at one stage they won about 8 premierships in a row. They're going for back-to-back premierships. Dookie will certainly give them a run for their money today because they've strengthened up their side over the last few weeks through the ability to be able to drop a couple of players back that didn't play enough senior games.
Yeah.
Shep East, of course, are playing in the main game, so that makes it difficult for them to drop players back. So this is going to be a closer game than what most people expect.
Yeah, I agree. And look, Dookie have come from 5th to get to the grand final, so just shows that they're playing some really good footy at the back end of the season. They were decimated by injuries earlier in the year. They've worked their way back with a good core group of players. Travis has done a fantastic job as a coach there. I certainly do give them a chance to beat Shep East. As I say, Shep East are in the senior game, so there's very little movement of players as far as Shep East are concerned. So I do give Dookie a chance, actually. The rivalry is there, definitely. They're neighbours, they're very close to one another. But I actually might tip Dookie today. I reckon they might get the win.
Yeah, they did get them in 2014 and Shep East got them in 2015. I think you're right. I think it'll be close and, the Roos might actually get the job done in the main event. Now, we'll have a look at this in great depth. Obviously, the two power clubs of the last probably decade, they've had some real success, these two sides. They're going to play off in the grand final, Shep East and Tungama. So 1v3, Shep East went through undefeated, of course. Tungama have done just what they've needed to do in the final series. A lot of people probably thought that they would lose to Waiai, got the job done.
Yep.
A lot of people thought they would lose last Saturday, got the job done. Probably didn't look like they were going to lose at any stage in that game. They had full control, which is symbolic of how well they do things at this time of the season.
Yep.
When you look at them, they've played 4 times already this season, Greg. Let's forget about round 2. It was a 100-point win for Shep East, but we do know that Tungama probably were rusty early, were missing a lot of players. The games after that have certainly had a little more closeness to them. I mean, in round 9 at Tungama, only 3 points separated them in favour of Shep East. In round 16, we saw the Eagles win by about, it was probably nearly 10 goals in the finish. And in the second semi-final, they've got them by 7.5 goals. But that game was closer than the scoreline reflected. How do you expect Tungama to approach today?
Yeah, look, I think you're right. If you take the 100-point game out, where Tungama were really rusty, the season has been an interesting one for Tungama because they started slowly, then they built into the middle of the season, then unfortunately they've been struck with some injuries. So they probably haven't been at their best after that Shep East game where it was about 3 points, is that right? Yeah. So they really haven't been at full strength, and they're probably not going to be at full strength today either. But I'm certainly not going to write Tungama off. Jeremy O'Brien, he's been there, done before. He's coached in the Flags. He's a seasoned professional when it comes to coaching. He gets his 2 or 3 goals a game, so he's one of their better players. Sean has played last week, kicked 4, so that's a great effort. I know he's not quite 100%, but in these games you've got to play. I'm not going to write them off. Tungama, I've refused to write them off all year because I just feel that when it comes to finals footy, they play that brand of football that wins grand finals. So,
do they have the depth in their squad, do you think, Greg? I mean, I've heard you throughout the week on radio talk about bottom 6 players of teams. When you look at Shep East, I mean, they've got so many good players. Down back they've obviously got Jamie Spencer, who's been outstanding. David Dizzy Gillespie went back in the second semi-finals and is someone who can go forward, having kicked 29 goals. Through the midfield, they've got Gerard Ainsley, Joey Perkovic, Frappel, Randina. They've got a lot of guys who can run through their bets and I think runs through the midfield in there. Then when you go down forward, they've got Kobe Ainsley, who's had an outstanding season. Remarkable effort for him, because 2 years ago he did a shoulder injury and looked like he was done. To come back and kick 102. Then you've got Betson, who's kicked 28, Osborne 27, Gillespie 29, Neville 23. So they've got a lot of guys that have been able to kick, goals for them this year. If someone doesn't pop up, someone else pops up.
Yeah, look, and that's right. Look, they're very even across the whole playing group. And you're right. It's the bottom six and that can make or break a good side. So, I expected Katunga to really probably win against Tungamar, because I thought they would be too tall and too strong for Tungamar up forward. But Tungamar, to their credit, they obviously played a great game to get on top of those players like Wilson and Sidebottom and Hodgkin. So it shows that they can do it. It shows that they can restrict clubs, big scoring clubs, to keep them, to a score where they can get in front. And so I think that Tungamar have that in their game to be able to do that. Whether they can sustain that over 4 quarters remains to be seen. Because Sheppies are a different kettle of fish with the other sides in the competition. They're unbeaten. They're very even, and when you have the likes of Gillespie and Rendini can go forward and kick goals, it's very hard to see them getting beat, really. They've just been a standout side all year. And obviously with Kobe up front, he's kicked 102, he's flying, he gets great service. He doesn't miss very often, so he's very accurate. And for a guy who's not big and tall, and but he knows how to take a grab and kick goals, and that's why he's there. So it's going to be a great game. There'll be a bit in it because they're rivals from the old Tungamar League, so there's a bit of feeling there. And but I think Sheppies will probably win, but I think it'll be pretty close all day. It'll just be towards the end of the game that if it does start to open up, I think Sheppies will take advantage.
Promises to be an outstanding day of football and netball out at Katamatite. Just the last word, Greg, just for fans that are going to come along and enjoy the day. Tell us a little bit about what it costs to get in, and one last message about making sure that you do get a lift there if you're going to have a few drinks, and do behave yourself as well. Yeah,
absolutely. Look, it's $16 to get in, includes your program. It's $10 for pensioners. It's a great setup, Katamatite, and despite the weather we've had this year, they've done a fantastic job to get their ground up and running, and the facilities are fantastic. New club rooms, it really is really good. And like you say, if you're going to drink, don't drive. Get there with a friend or have a designated driver and get home safely. We encourage all our patrons to do that. To behave responsibly, for the benefit of all spectators, we all need to respect everyone's right to enjoy the football and have a great day without interference from anyone else. So we encourage people to do that.
Well, thank you, Greg Watmore, General Manager of Macollin District Football Netball League, for giving up your time. Good luck to you and your executive. It promises to be a fantastic day of football and netball, of course. Stay safe and enjoy.
Thank you.